Greetings and welcome to When the Moment Chooses You. I am your host, Coach Charlene, and I am extremely excited for my next guest in this Nurses Week celebration. And it is Joellen. How are you, Joellen?
I am doing great and happy National Nursing Month week. We celebrate
Yes,
you every day, but I'm happy
thank
to
you.
celebrate you today.
Oh, that is so great. Thank you so much. And definitely to all of our nurses out there, happy Nurses Week. You absolutely make a difference every day that you show up, no matter how you feel, you still show up and you touch lives. So thank you for that. But I am so excited that you're here, Joella. You have been on the podcast before, and we had such a wonderful, heartfelt conversation. And as I was preparing to do this week of just unpacking these trailblazers, I absolutely thought about you. And I'm so glad that you said yes. So, really, the intent for this week is really the impact of caring science. So, before we get started with that, if you don't mind telling the audience who you are, and then we will go from there.
So, I am first and foremost a nurse lover, and I'm not a nurse. People are so surprised. They're like, "You are not a nurse, and you've worked 11 years with nursing and over, I would say, about 15 or 1600 clinical partners, 3,500 across the nation." But I am an honorary nurse and a lover of all human caring and humanity. I've been working
Yes.
as a vice president of clinical education management at Unitech Learning. It'll be my 11th year this September. I started when the organization had 3 campuses, and we now have 17 campuses across 7
Wow.
states. I know, and six of these wonderful workforce solution school in the boxes where we brought our campus to the facilities and the hospitals and are totally making a difference in the cultures of those organizations. And so now 17 plus the six, and I am also a Caritas coach like yourself. And I'm so excited. I have been wanting to be one since 2017. And about 2 years ago in April, I graduated from the Caritas coaching program. And but I'm a servant leader. I am a wife of going on 45 years.
Oh,
And
wow. Congratulations.
thank you. And I love supporting our students and faculty. I do a lot of other things within the community because I think it's important to be part of your community. I've done some writing, some speaking, and also for a long time, I was on several boards of organizations for early childhood education and to change a city, one caring moment at a time. So I felt like I
Yeah,
had to be the change that I wanted to see in my city. So
that's awesome.
that's about, I have lots of other things that I have done and I'm so happy to do. But just every day trying to be the change that I want to see in the world is
Yeah.
who I am.
Okay, that is beautiful. Of course, you always do such a beautiful job introducing yourself. So what would you say? I would love to know actually how did you get introduced to caring science?
So it was kind of very interesting. We were having our first conference, and you've been a speaker at them now. Before they were littler, there was only about 5 campuses at this time, and I was going to be speaking to all of our faculty about caring communications because it's very, very important as a school. You're a guest in the facilities at all of our partners, and to understand how to be a good guest. Not everybody
Yes.
understands how to do that. And to work together to co create that nurse of tomorrow because we know that the facilities need new nurses and we know
Yes.
our students need to understand how to become one. And so that partnership is something that's very important to me. And so I was thinking, what can I talk about? And so I created the 5 steps of clinical communication success and taught those to our faculty to go in and integrate and become part of the organization, not just the outside waiting to do the med pass or whatever, but to be a part of the stand-ups, to be a part of the culture, and to ingrain in that. And I came across a bookmark because I said, oh, I want to talk about something. And the bookmark I had was something I picked up at one of the nursing weeks or something. And it was Dr. Watson's Caritas Factors. It was before she
Oh,
named the Caritas process.
yes.
And I said, I'm going to talk about these factors, and of course, being a non-nurse and talking about the theory-based practice of caring, ingrained myself to some of the faculty as well to understand those processes. And also then that was introduction to the theory of caring science. But then we were having our next conference, and it was going to be virtual. And our provost, Dr. Abdel Yosef, was in a conference committee, and everybody was giving their ideas of who they wanted to speak. And it came to me, and I said, I want living legend Dr. Jean Watson to talk about caring science as our keynote. Oh, but you're going to get me to call her. I know you're going to make me call a living legend. I don't know. I guess, okay, I'll do it. So that's actually. And then when she spoke, I whispered in her ear the intention that I wanted Unitech to be the first academic national affiliate. And Charlene, we were the first
Awesome.
academic national affiliate of Watson Caring Science. And then I whispered that I wanted to be a part of one of the first cohorts for Caritas coaching, even though I'm non-nurse. And I said, is it possible? And Dr. Watson said, absolutely. And we have like over 30 every year now, but I was the first of the Caritas coaches with other nurses. It was very exciting.
Yeah, that is very exciting. What was the pull? What was the tug for you to become a Caritas coach? Can you tell me that?
I think that ingrained in those 10 Caritas processes, which is the onocolical relationship of us to be right relationship with ourselves and with others. Eventually it goes to systems, is that I've always been a caring leader, empathetic leader. However, these 10 Caritas processes are a different way of being and doing. It's the resources and tools that allow you to do what you need to do and in your heart to do, and to always work from your heart center.
Yes.
So that's what pulled me, was those foundational processes.
Yeah, that is so awesome. I just think about when I first came in was 2010. And so we had, it wasn't Dr. Jean Watson. Some of our leaders had gone to see her, and they came back on fire, and they did a session for us, the leaders, and life changed after that moment. I was telling them on the last podcast that because I hit that burnout mode where I was like, I'm not feeling this anymore. And just to be reignited the way that I was reignited, just with her providing us with language, was just so phenomenal. So I'm wondering, Joellen, have you heard? Sometimes I hear people say something like, "Well, I'm too busy to do caring science." Have you
Actually,
ever heard that?
I actually heard it, and even myself, I thought, I don't always have time to do all of the processes or the micro practices to be the person that I myself would like to grow into, evolve, the human being that I am evolving into and want to. And I think that it really doesn't take that long. It's when I was going through my Caritas coaching, one of our faculty of the program said it can be as little as this, is that you're hand washing. When you're hand washing as a nurse and going into the next patient, you have to do it. It's you know hand wash in, hand wash out. You can take those moments. That's what, 20 seconds.
Right.
You can take the 20 seconds to be grateful for the time that you just had with that human being in room 224, not the liver case in 224.
Right.
And you can then prepare yourself to meet the whole person, spirit, soul, and body, in room 226, and intentionalize in that 20 seconds that you're going to try to create a caring moment for that person.
Yes. Yeah, it's so beautiful when you can do that. And so that's great. Um, so, Caring Science emphasizes the importance of cultivating authentic connections with patients. How do you maintain that sense of connection? And it doesn't necessarily have to be with patients because there's also peers and all of the everybody that we come in contact with. How do you do that in the midst of the time constraints and all of the different things, the 50,000 hats that we wear sometimes?
Yeah. So I, don't interact with patients, but I am on, but I'm working with nurses, leaders, and clinical leaders and professional development leaders. So I kind of remind myself about the moments before I get into my next Zoom meeting or my next team meeting. And I have this in front of me at all times.
Hmm.
This is that maybe this one moment with this one
Yes.
person is why I'm here. And you can touch a life for good. In fact, Charlene, what I loved about it, we just finished like 6 symposiums. Unitech was blessed to host Dr. Watson in as our keynote speaker in Vegas and Colorado and Washington, Oregon, Minnesota, and Michigan to nurse leaders. And the theme was quantum caring leadership, but it all boiled
Mm,
down to the eternal caring moment, whether it's on a Zoom or
right.
whether it's with your colleagues or whether it's right now in the moment with me and you.
Right.
It's intention and just wanting to make that connection.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so beautiful. I was thinking about do you have any caring moment stories that you would like to share with us?
I in the symposium I really actually did this. The section where, it was very moving because after Dr. Watson did her keynote on quantum caring leadership, everybody had so many thoughts, and so we wanted to take a moment, at one time to talk about what was their one caring moment, but we also wanted to honor them early for National Nursing Month and for them to realize that over the pandemic, even now, over last week, over this year, nurses don't realize that they've given thousands of caring moments to the people that they've supported. Thousands,
Yes.
however many patients you see in a day, you've given that many caring moments, and that the patients remember them. They're eternal. So
Yes.
I will share with you two alternate stories that from my caring moments that were eternal and I still remember. And and but first of all, I'll caveat it with this, my friend, is that I don't know whether it was Charles Schultz or the Peanuts or whatever that wrote this, but it's called the Caring Quiz, and I'm going to give it to you right now, and then I will tell my stories. So not everyone can remember the last 5 Oscar winners. They might because it was March or something. They might remember Ryan Gosling or in pink hot pantsuit, singing "I'm Just Ken." But even that's going to fade. You know what I mean? Something else is going to take it. And these are
Yes.
amazing, achievers or the top five, baseball winners or, NBA winners. These people have achieved a lot, but sometimes we forget them. You might remember one Nobel Prize winner because it's important to you and you think that's great. But what everyone remembers is three things. They remember the friend or family member that took them through a hard time, that created that eternal moment for them, or that eternal aha. They remember an educator, or in your case, and see, I could already see it. You remember that one nurse faculty that saved your bacon or took you through something.
Yes.
And they remember a nurse that helped them. And that is a proven fact. So my caring moment was my mother-in-law, and that's actually what led me to nursing rather than I was with another college and I was doing all sorts of educational programs, 1,900 students, and um, was that the nurse was actually a Kaiser nurse that took me, and it may have been one of the folks that had been going through Watson Caring Science training or a Caritas coach. My mother in law was going through the last stages of her hospice care, and she was having a little bit of pain, but they were managing the pain, but she was making some of the normal noises you do when you're experiencing that those sacred moments. So she pulls me
Yeah.
out. She's, Miss Sutterfield, I have to talk to you in the hallway. So I just rush out right there with my little notebook, and I said, what do you have to tell me? I'm all ready. I'm going to do whatever I can to help my mother-in-law through this situation. And she said, we are handling and managing your mother-in-law's care. She is going to make these noises. She's going to be okay. But I noticed something that's not helping you. Every time that she makes a noise, you hold your breath and you're holding your heart in and you're trying to take that in for her, and you can't do that. So I'd like to take a
Yeah.
moment to help you let that breath out. So she
Wow.
took my hands. I know. She took my hands and we breathed out and we breathed in. Of course, I collapsed on her, poor gal.
Yes,
Just,
absolutely.
yes, yes. And I know that you've done that several times for other people, especially people that have, mom, baby, have had a celebration or a suffering. You've
Right.
been there with them. And the other one was an absolute interesting point. People think it's not a caring moment, but for me, it was. It was my husband was almost coding in an ICU and they were kicking me out. The ICU nurse said, you can't stay here. You've got to get out. And I said, this is my best friend. I'm not leaving. And I'm sorry, you're going to have the white coats got me out. I was imagining it.
Yes.
And he was like, sit in the corner in that chair. You make a peep, you are out. And I said, oh, I love you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And she just let me be in the corner praying for my husband and providing that support for him, that, metaphysical support that Dr. Watson talks about that can't be seen.
Right.
And that was a caring moment to me. And maybe people thought that was tough, but she was doing what she was supposed to do. And yet she understood and gave me that grace.
Which was really beautiful. And that's the thing about reading the field. Yes, I know what I'm supposed to do by paper, but my heart is telling me to do something else. So that I really love how you articulate that. Those were beautiful caring moments. They
I
really
remember
were.
those nurses, and I wrote them beautiful letters, and
Yeah.
I remember them, but those moments are eternal. I mean, there's
Yes.
other moments with educators, family, friends, even moments with you that we've had sitting side
Yes.
by side.
Absolutely. And so today we celebrated our nurses at South Second. It was so a caring moment. Just, I mean, it just emerged so beautifully. But one of my staff, they came to experience our little Caritas Heart Science hallway, and we had little circles so that they can center and get ready to go back to work. But I brought her into the circle and I began to do heart math with her, a little bit of quick coherence, and she just had tears just streaming down her eyes. And she said, Charlene, I really needed this today. My best friend lost her husband, and we're going to be going to the funeral. And so I needed to release, because she just like released right there. And so when she got finished going through the station, she said, I needed this. Thank you for pulling me so that I can come to this. So it's just those magical moments that I'm not going to forget that story. So I like how Dr. Jane Watson says it's biogenic, it's life giving, and it's life receiving when we have those transpersonal caring moments. So yeah, I absolutely love them. And it just keeps you so filled up. And that is what really pushes me, Joellen, to be the best, amazing human being that loves beyond any types of things that I would have to love beyond, because people really need that. They need that from us, and that brings healing and wholeness to us. So, thank you so much for sharing that. I do have another question for you. In healthcare, and you don't have to be a nurse to do this, but we often put ourselves and our needs, our own needs, before others. Well, we don't put our needs
Yes.
before others. So when we think about our own well-being, how does caring science help us with our own well-being?
Now that was difficult for me because I did the Caritas coaching during the pandemic. And you
Oh,
can imagine that was the process. And I was still working and helping all of these other folks
yes.
and having to listen intently, to some of the celebrations, some of the sufferings, and still do the work and yet be doing my own work. And the hardest part is exactly what you just stated was the loving kindness needs to be for self and others. One of my dear Caritas coach friends, Jeanette Moreno, uses this. She goes like, Caritas processes, they teach you, like in the airplane, to put your own oxygen mask on first.
Hmm.
And then you can put it on other people. But see, I'd still probably be running around putting it on other people and then, tuck it in a little bit,
Yes.
put it on them, because it's just in the nature to do that, like you are doing. So the more we learn those micro practices and creating space for ourselves, because we do desire. Most people that come into the Caritas processes, I've noticed, are those people that want to evolve. And
Right.
it's kind of like it isn't instant oatmeal, it's a daily process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do believe that because I even think about like some of the things that I've had to do to be an effective leader. Like one of the things, I think I might have told you about it, but when I go in the morning, I just greet everybody. Good morning, you're loved and appreciated. So they look forward to hearing that. And then I also, before I get to work, one of my micro practices is I start speaking out that I declare that I walk in undisturbed composure because I know that disturbances are going to come. And so for me, as I went up into leadership, I had to prepare for what I was going to face for the day. And so I've been doing that. And so now walking in undisturbed composure is just who I am. So that means that I'm going to carry peace, even in the midst of all of the challenges that I'm facing. You're going to see me grounded and going into that peace place so that I can think clearly and give the answers that I need to. So I totally agree with you there. Why do you think that's so hard for people to do, to actually put themselves as a priority?
I think that it's human nature, right?
Yeah.
To want to, it's there's partially is the gratification of recognition and wanting people to like you, right? That's part of the
Yeah.
portion. But the other portion is that we are truly meant to be servants. This is the nature of who we're meant to do. We are supposed to be servants. And when you're in leadership, that is servant leadership is visionary leadership, in my opinion.
Yes.
You know, and to put yourself in the place of the other person, often you want to try to help them and cure it. And, that's the empathetic portion of leadership, but empathy in action is really grow, themselves. But I want to get back to this part. This is the touchstones that help me. It's intentionality. It helps me to remind myself to take the beginning, like you said, care in the beginning. That's exactly
Yes.
where Dr. Watson has these cards. Care in the middle, care at the end, but the continued care is which I have difficulty to, and I have to put things around me. The right around me right now is a calendar and sayings and Dr. Watson's touchstones and spiritual things that connect me so that I can just look up at any moment and say, "Oh, right, I can do all things."
Yes, absolutely. I was telling them that I was so I get ready to go to work the other day and you know what? I'm not late, Joellen, but I am like walking like I am like going somewhere quick and got to get there that I'm late. And then all of a sudden, I just heard my spirit say, "Slow down.
Mm.
What's the rush?" And I thought about it. I was like, "Yeah, what am I rushing for?" And it just like, I mean, so I love that. I call it the inner coach in me will grab my coattail sometimes and say, "Hey, slow down. Hey, don't say that. Hey, treat this." I mean, all of the inner voices that come, because we also have an inner critic on the inside of us telling us negative stuff about ourselves. And so my inner coach has figured out how to combat all of those things. And just a simple act of slowing down, gracefully walking in, enjoying what you're seeing on the outside. Because I was walking through a trailway and it was so beautiful outside, and I was missing all of that because I was rushing for something that I don't even know what I was rushing to.
That
So
that's very profound, actually.
it was something else, but it just reminds me of how mindful we have to be, because it's so easy to get caught back up into your grind mode, where I'm having to, like, especially I guess as I get older, of really trying to, like, be more mindful and just slow down and savor these moments that we're spending together, savor what I can see in nature, the beauty of it, savor the presence of another human being. So yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get this. But you know what, as you can see, it's practice, and it takes 24/7
It,
work for us to get it done.
it does. I love though what you're saying. I love what you're saying though about the inner critic, but also the inner coach, because that has happened. I'm not necessarily a quiet person, but I can hear my heart. My heart can speak to me very easily. And
Yes.
I can be in a situation to where I can hear all the noise, but my heart will say, this is the direction, and walk in it. And that portion I had before Caring Science, but Caring Science has elevated, like I said before, the ears. My
Yes.
heart has grown the ears it needs to hear the inner critic, to hear the inner voice that tells me, even when we were doing all these symposiums with Dr. Watson, it was so amazing. And I was learning something new every day, and watching the light of Caring Science be illuminated in hundreds, and I'm not just talking about a few hundreds of chief nursing officers across the nation. And Unitech Learning has been so blessed to facilitate that light being lit.
Yes.
As I was watching even that, one of the days it was like reminding me of the caring in the middle and the morning and the end, because it was
Hmm.
the constant airport grind. And it's like, okay, just take a moment, read something inspirational, and get back into being able to sleep and rest. And so
Yes.
sometimes you can't stop, Charlene. Sometimes you
I know. I know. It's hard to turn that off sometimes, especially when you're visionary like that and you're constantly coming up with different things and concepts. What do you envision let's say nursing, because you have so many schools and things like that. Where are we headed in the future? What do you see for caring science in the future?
See, I think that more people need to be educated about caring. It's like Dr. Watson said, it's not just caring, it's not just empathy, it's not just something nice. It is a practice model and a holistic approach to human caring as a whole, not just for nurses, not just for educators. And there's one comment that she makes that is profound and scary. She says that as we introduce, more AI, which we need, more realistic things, there is going to be a time that humans can be turned into taskmasters of just doing tasks, and then things become task orientated. Skill, yes, you do need to do your skills check off as a student, and then the task becomes, or the person within the task becomes an object. And then we
Yeah.
allow ourselves the ability to do something to this object that we would never do to another human being. Cruelty.
Yes.
She used war as an example, but it isn't just that. It would be whatever. We'd allow ourselves to, do something to what we would never do to another human being, or say something, and mistakes happen. But where she's saying the caring science and the future of nursing is that we can embrace the fact that there may be more technology and AI doing some of the things for us to help us, but that as we move into that innovation, the relationship and human caring portion, if the technology is going to take that portion on, then our human caring skills need to evolve.
Yeah,
And so that is where I feel like we are as in nursing, is that is why Unitech Learning embedded the Caritas processes in and changed the language, like you said, in our BSN program that's nationally approved, where we're doing multifaceted. So the students themselves are learning Caritas process at the beginning. Then our faculty are being trained as Caritas coaches. And then we're working with our affiliates and sharing with them and all of our practice partners our new way of being and doing. And we think that we have to be multifaceted like that because of
yeah,
the way nursing is. We're already moving there. We're not quite where we are, but in the next 5 years, you're going to see a huge shift, Charlene. And
absolutely.
Unitech is trying to get at the beginning of that and be a trailblazer.
Yes. Yeah, and you guys are doing amazing. I still remember just visiting the campus and how embedded that caring science was in your curricula. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And so thank you for all the work that you're doing there. We have, of course, Joellen. What is Joellen's top three? I want some wisdom gems from you. So give it to us.
So I would say the top three gems I would tell you is it only takes a moment to create a caring moment. It only takes less than a moment to do that. So whenever you're intentionally doing anything, think, can I do one email that can give gratitude? The caring moment that you did with the heart math with the person that you changed their life today. You set them on a course to be able to face something. So I would say the first gem is it only takes a moment to create an internal caring moment for the person that's in front of you. And the second one would be, I'd say, the first Caritas process is loving kindness to self and others. And if you can just remember that, not just like be kind, like you hear wonderful speakers say, but loving kindness and compassion, the rest of the Caritas processes flow from that. And so
Absolutely.
that's the center. If you can remember to go into your heart center of loving kindness, that's it. Even just doing this simple thing. So time, loving kindness in that heart center moment, that first Caritas process will lead to everything else and the doors will open. And the last one is stay connected.
Yes.
Um, this community of Caritas coaches you're bringing together, um, you are introducing and educating them. Our Unitech Learning has our Caritas conference that we do. We call it Unitech Learning Cares. It is September 13th. I'll make sure I get that information. And you've spoken before. I hope you speak
Yeah.
again. And this is bringing together caring leaders so that education continues, because even though I was in 6 symposiums, I learned and grew and I was inspired from each, not just getting myself, motivated. It was inspiring my soul and heart and being to, evolve and be part of this movement. So that was the last one, is stay connected through education or conferences or community.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome. So, thank you so much for being here. I have enjoyed every word, every heartbeat, every moment that we have shared today. And happy Nurses Week again to all of you that are out there making a difference every day. Maybe not feeling appreciated, but we too here are saying you are loved and you are appreciated in all that you do. And thank you for all of the people that support nursing as well. And that's why I love you, Joellen, because you're not a nurse, but your passion and your drive to make sure that this gets to the right place is so inspirational. And so thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You too. Every
Yes.
heartbeat matters, and so does every caring moment.
I want to thank you for tuning in to another inspiring episode of When the Moment Chooses You. I'm your host, Coach Charlene, and it's been an absolute pleasure. Each journey we've shared today is a reminder that when the moment chooses you, the possibilities are endless.